Marjorie Taylor Greene remains a thorn in Donald Trump's side, and that's really only because he's made it so easy for her. She's currently trying to establish her own version of MAGA, the new pure MAGA brand. And she's doing it by calling out Donald Trump for the lies he told in 2024 and throughout his political career, that he's anti-war, that he would stop the budget deficit, that he would release the Epstein files. And that's become a serious problem for Trump. But in just a few hours, less than 24, it's going to get even worse, because Marjorie Taylor Greene is about to drop another bomb on Donald Trump. And it's going to damage his presidency even more than it probably already has. We'll get into all of it, but it starts again with all the criticisms Marjorie Taylor Greene has recently leveled at Trump's presidency. Rachel Maddow summarized it well over the past few days, showing how Trump has started an illegal war that has completely backfired because he's already retreating and the war is incredibly unpopular. But we'll get to that after we deal with Marjorie.
So what exactly happened today when Trump reportedly called a CBS News reporter and said, the war's pretty much over? And then Trump called a bizarre and incoherent press conference at one of his golf resorts where he said, no, it's not pretty much over. Where did you hear that? Who told you that fake news? In the middle of that swirling dust devil of nonsense and reversal and double reversal and incoherence and non sequitur from the President of the United States, what happened in the middle of all that today? Well, according to the Kremlin, in the middle of all that, President Donald Trump called Vladimir Putin and talked to him for an hour. And we only learned about that phone call because the Kremlin told us about it. The White House didn't announce it. The Kremlin did. Did the White House even know Trump was doing that before the Kremlin told everybody it had happened? Did Trump just call Putin from his flip phone? Was it while he was playing golf? Was it even in the White House calendar that today was the day Trump was supposed to check in with his boss?
I think Rachel Maddow perfectly summed up what's happening with Donald Trump right now. First, he doesn't have the attention span to follow through on a nation-building project. Donald Trump also has no idea what to do with Iran. I don't think Trump understands anything about Iran. I honestly think if you gave him a map, he couldn't even find Iran on it. So Trump is going to give up because he's been humiliated. Gas prices are rising. The Dow is crashing. There isn't a single good economic number for him. He's in free fall, he's staring at the midterms, and the only way he might salvage them is through cheating. But it's not just about the November elections. Remember, Marjorie Taylor Greene's resignation left a seat open in a very red district in Georgia. But that doesn't mean Donald Trump or Mike Johnson have anything to celebrate, because, as we'll see, tomorrow could be a really bad day for Donald Trump.
Gulf War III continues. Gulf War I was because Iraq invaded Kuwait and we wanted to make them uninvade Kuwait. Gulf War II was because the George W. Bush administration wanted somewhere else to invade besides Afghanistan, so they made up a fantasy about Iraq having weapons of mass destruction when they didn't. Gulf War III is now, and Donald Trump started it, but for Gulf War III, there is still no coherent explanation from the president or the White House as to what exactly this is all for. Not even an obviously pretextual false reason like we had from George W. Bush. The president did unveil a new purported justification for the war today in his rambling press conference at his golf thing. He said, quote, "We're doing this for the other parts of the world." We're doing this for the other parts of the world. It's actually hard to argue with that one. That one might actually be true. The Wall Street Journal is now describing this as the most severe energy crisis since the 1970s. CNBC calls it the biggest oil supply disruption in history. Because there is no way to safely move it to market, Saudi Arabia has now cut its production of oil. Iraq's production of oil is down to less than 1/3 what it was before Trump started this war. In Qatar and Kuwait and Bahrain, major energy companies have declared force majeure, which basically means they're saying, hey, act of God.
Because of this possible outcome in the open primary, With 2 Democrats at the top of the ballot, which could also happen in California with 2 Republicans, we need a clear candidate there. I'll talk more about that in a later video. But Marjorie Taylor Greene's district could ultimately give us a Democrat. There are so many Republicans in this race, and because Donald Trump had to personally travel down to endorse one of them, someone who still isn't breaking through in the polls, it's possible that 2 Democrats could emerge from this primary because it's an open primary. It's not automatically 1 Democrat and 1 Republican. This is all unfolding in just a few hours while Trump is delivering the worst possible defense of his indefensible war. A war so bad that even J.D. Vance refuses to call it a war. As we discussed in an earlier video, he calls it a conflict. So Trump needs his lackeys in the mainstream press to spin for him. But even they are struggling. Jake Tapper, for example, who regularly advocates for Israel by downplaying things and using passive language. I saw a headline today about an attack on Lebanon. 160 killed in Lebanon and 2 Israeli soldiers killed. That passive phrasing, Tapper does that constantly. Of course, all these billionaires have bought CNN and CBS, along with TikTok, spreading their tentacles everywhere to control the media. And even that no longer works for Trump. He could end up seeing Marjorie Taylor Greene's district, one of the reddest in the country, turn blue, simply because he's such an idiot and his White House is falling apart. There's a civil war. In the war against Iran, there's a civil war between Trump, Rubio, and Vance. In the Department of Homeland Security, there's a civil war between Stephen Miller and the now ousted Kristi Noem, including her partner, Corey Lewandowski. And the fights keep coming. Once again, Trump's media apparatus, his billionaire-controlled social platforms, can't even spin this for him anymore. That doesn't mean we stop calling it out. We have to. And I think AOC has done one of the best jobs at this so far, right here.
That Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post, that you have these deals with the Ellisons, who now are taking over TikTok, and these include our digital platforms as well. Everything from TikTok, but you have this merger deal now with Paramount, CNN. You have, you just go down the list, right? You have CBS that's been taken over by a charlatan. And we have now, we're not just talking about the 24/7 media channels. We're talking about some of the greatest historic journalism institutions in the United States, like CBS, not to even speak of the decimation in local journalism.
Corporate control over the media doesn't just hurt real journalism and make it harder, it makes everything worse. There's this term that's been popping up lately, the degradation of things. And that's the point I want to end on. It kind of reminds me of that moment when Cracker Barrel changed its logo and tweaked its appearance a bit, and MAGA lost it. Woke is coming for Cracker Barrel. They hate white people. And I think, first of all, you idiots. If Cracker Barrel's logo is the worst persecution of white people in America, if that's your biggest problem as a clueless white person in the South, then honestly, you're doing pretty well. If that's the worst persecution you've ever experienced, just shut up and eat your bland, unseasoned chicken. But it reminds me, if you liked the old logo and look better than the new one, that's no reason to start a war or vote for a fascist. And they claimed it was because of woke. It wasn't. You've seen so many buildings change. McDonald's used to have a playground. Why was it removed? Woke? No. Insurance. Pizza Hut used to have a rooftop. Was it removed because of woke? No. Because when you want to sell that property, you don't want it to look like an old Pizza Hut. So everything becomes the same box. Bland, sterile, interchangeable. And that's not because of woke. Not the left, not liberals, not Joe Biden, Gavin Newsom, or AOC. It's corporate economics and private equity buying everything up and standardizing it to shuffle assets around. If Cracker Barrel has a unique look and the building is sold because it's underperforming, I, as a buyer, don't want to rebuild or make changes. It's a financial move. That's all it is, a financial move for them. They make their media companies and social platforms worse to appease Donald Trump. And who does that affect? Not their profits. They squeeze every possible dollar from all their assets. It affects us. It makes things worse and shoddier. Larry Ellison didn't just buy TikTok to help Donald Trump. He did it for Netanyahu, too. But in doing so, he made it worse. All of these things are degraded by billionaires. It's not just bad. It's intentionally made worse for you to help those who protect pedophiles and ruin this country. So, it's not woke, it's the corporations. Let's be very clear about that. And on that note, we'll close. We hope Marjorie Taylor Greene continues to humiliate Donald Trump, and we'll keep you updated. If you want to support this work, as always, hit the subscribe button and give this video a like. If you stayed to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep fighting, everyone. Don't be silenced. And until next time, we'll see you.